Type shit. Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. You already know what time it is. It's the initiates back again with another dope ass video. Today we're going to be talking about a few different things, but what we're going to do is break down Cat Williams' chart and give y'all a little bit more details. And the purpose of this video is to help you, assist you in understanding your own personal chart by looking at the world, looking at the chart, and seeing that everything is not so random. So if you look at a person like Cat Williams, who's achieved superstardom, and you look at you working at the Piggly Wiggly, there is hope for you, my friend. But I got my friends with me, got my homies with me, the initiates. They're here to introduce themselves. Go ahead, introduce yourselves to the family, to the tribe, and along with that, tell us what you working with, what you selling, plug your shit. Because if you don't plug your shit, nobody else will, my friends.
And he's right to that. Welcome everybody. It's your boy AD, aka Lightbringer. Go ahead, drop into my Instagram where you can find most of my platforms, my YouTube, my Etsy, my Patreon. Also a link to the Harrison's Book Club. Fuck with us. Get readings from us. Get PDF downloads of books that it's hard for you to reach. We are giving those out. So reach out to us and check me out on Calendly. Get a reading from me, man. Much love, peace, enjoy the show tonight. True.
What's up, fam? This is Breeze. I ain't that good at intros, but follow my Instagram. You can find all my information on there. Do natal chart readings, as well as break down esoteric information and break it down in a way for you to be able to practice out of it. Because what's the point of having the information if you're not using it, or if it's not useful?
Peace to the family, peace to the collective, Sacred Dark Serpent, Dark Sacred Serpent on Instagram, Racine Maurice on Facebook, same thing, Dark Sacred Serpent on Sacred Serpent Media on TikTok. Thanks for allowing us this space at this particular time. I just want to give our shade to the ancestors, give our shade to these brothers and their family and everything that they got going on. I've been cooking. I've been in the engine just cooking. So, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, y'all know what it is, man. Visit whiterabbitpsych.com because we got the #1 premium psychedelic in the whole entire world, Craig. Not just the country, not just the city, but the whole entire world, Craig. Visit us there. And also, this Sunday, we will have our sacral chakra activation taking place. Check the link in the bio if you want to understand your emotions, things of that nature. Fuck with me. Other than that, if you want to reach me, DM me at Instagram at TheHoodMystic, and we can get it popping like we have been doing for years. With that being said, man, let's get into the conversation, right? So I meant to have that for the introduction, so I'm gonna let that introduction take a roll just a couple of seconds, just for the nostalgia of it all. You feel me? Just for the vibe of it all. You feel me? Just let it flow. All right, introductions is over. Let's talk about this because, man, when we talk about comedians making people laugh, it can seem like a big joke or unimportant. But from my recollection, whenever the world stopped, it's pertaining to these dudes. So my thing is, why are, like, this Cat Williams thing is viral. If you see it on YouTube, it got 6 million views in one day, right? They probably don't get 6 million views on the news, and the news is letting you know some detrimental shit is about to happen. People don't care. When Cat Williams starts talking, people tuned in, tapped in, want to know what's up with him and Ricky Smiley. What is that? Is he a magician? Is he just making jokes? Just a funny man? What say you guys?
Katt Williams is a trickster. Katt Williams is also, he almost like the sacred clown, you know, and I think part of the reason why he went viral is because it wasn't because he was telling jokes. It was because he was kind of giving you a clarity on Hollywood and Black Hollywood in specific. And I think comedians have a really good have a really good skill set at pointing things out and bringing things to light.
And then remember what he say about Hollywood. He's went very long without people touching him. I'm gonna keep it like that. He went very long without people touching him.
Yeah.
So how can we understand Hollywood in a deeper way?
Mm-hmm. And when you think of like, okay, you brought a sacred clown. I forget, it's a certain name for like a Native American sacred clown, but it's like a person that can like just wild out and clown like during like religious rites, like serious things, but it's like the sacred clown get a pass because it's always an exception in society. Even to the point where Katt Williams was a part of a very religious family, but he was the only one that really wasn't religious. And I think we have to account for the exceptions in society. There's always going to be someone that's different from the bunch or different from the whole. And I think the sacred clown kind of represents that.
A sacred clown, a ritual or ceremonial figure. So, can we say that the Shannon Sharp interview was a ritual?
Mm-hmm.
Various pre-literate and ancient cultures. Does Katt Williams represent an ancient figure that is just in its present time form throughout the world, who represents a reversal of the normal order? Is Steve Harvey, what's the one dude, Ricky Smiley, Cedric, are they representing the normal order and Katt Williams is representing a reversal? Or an opening to the chaos that preceded creation? So what makes Katt Williams so powerful? Is it that he's tapped into the primal source of creation? These are just questions that I'm laying out. What's y'all thoughts?
Playing devil's advocate, I can see both sides, right? So I can see how on the flip side, this is controversial. And, you know, the people that have to sit on the side and wait for these arrows to land and, you know, might have to answer some uncomfortable questions the next day, you know, those people might feel totally different from the people that are taking this as entertainment, right? And so I think this falls into our level of nasty work, right? Where
Explain that.
It's a bit disingenuous, right? For you to decide you want to pick your selective outrage moments when you want to divulge a certain level of information pertaining to whatever your perceived projection of these other comedians' success is, right? Like, his shit is a lot of projection, and it's also a lot of vitriol and vindictiveness in the shit that he's doing, right? But there's also a lot of truth to it. So like I said, playing devil's advocate is like it depends on which side you fall on.
Nah, you played devil's advocate perfectly, because I could now look at what Katt Williams did as like a last ditch effort for clout. Because imagine if you rich and you got your shit together, you don't care. Like, nobody was like Katt Williams this or Katt Williams that. Like, y'all remember what Kevin Hart said about Katt Williams? He, like, nobody was really thinking about it, right? And then he get on Shannon Sharp, and it looked clean, but was it actually nasty work? So I don't have
Look. I
the
get.
real answer.
I do you even one better, big
Mix-
homie. I do.
Mhm.
I do you one even big. Even one better. Cat Williams is the male version of Monique, right? Like Cat
Cat
feels
Williams
like
pretentious.
all.
Is he
Cat
pretentious?
feels like all of this comedy success. He feels like a lot of it is due to him, right? But he just hasn't gotten the recognition that he deserves for being the comedian that he thinks he is, right? It's almost like the whole shit with Monique.
So you saying that they want to be accepted low key by major society, but they can't. So
Mm-hmm.
they feel a certain type of way, and
Mhm.
everything else is a smoke screen.
Mm-hmm.
Or not saying one way or another, but you can kind of start to see the deeper, darker criminal links when you get into the exploration of it. Isn't that magic though?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's magic at its best.
I agree. It was nasty work, but I look at it as like a necessary nasty work. You know what I mean? He was
Necessary
kind of
evil.
like, you know, yeah.
That's
he's
why I
like,
started it off by saying it depends on what
Yeah.
side you on.
yeah. It was like he was the garbage man, or you know, cleaning out the closet type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us, you know, a lot of us look at those comedians like, man, they good, they this and that, and they funny. But to be honest, I never thought Steve Harvey or Citric Entertainment was funny. It was funny on like the TV show, but like stand-up comedians, that's like, you don't really get that no more. You know, you don't really get that no more. And I think he was probably feeling some way about like the art of it. You know what I mean? Like, I really do this shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like he probably feel like he Michael Jordan of comedy type shit. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody else is kind of trying to pose. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. You know what I mean? Or like it's like Jadakiss to a Blueface. You know what I mean? But Jadakiss not talking shit about Blueface online. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I don't know.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah,
that's like if
like-
if Jadakiss started dissing all of the whack new rappers, you would just be like, I understand what you're trying to do, but like, what point is you trying to prove?
Yeah.
And then
Because I
when you
mean,
think about
Go
a
ahead.
trickster is or a sacred clown is the only person who can make jokes in front of the king and not die.
Mhm.
So it's just like, you know, as in both sides. One side is like, what the fuck, Cat on, bro? Like, and the other side is like, oh, Cat is speaking about the stuff that's not happening. Because when you peep on what he was saying, how he was talking, when they talked about him being off drugs, you know, he goes, I've been the same weight all my life. So how can you prove I've been on drugs? Who can you say I've done drugs with? Who can come out and say these things? So you have to understand the arguments he's making, because what a trickster and comedian does, they know how to use words as a sword, and also they're like the devil. They can tell you the truth and a lie one at the same time. So that's something you have to think about a trickster. So whatever side you choose, understand there's always going to be a different polarity to it.
Different rules to different games. Jabri said a trash man or a garbage collector, but we enter into 2024. So 3 days into 2024, he does this and he's like basically cleaning up. But the nature of Saturn with the sickle is to clean up so if corn harvest, you have the corn husks that populate the farm. So the nature of Saturn would collect all of those corn husks and allow for new growth to happen, right? So all the dead comedians, you would say he came and collected them and allowed for maybe a new crop of comedians to come up with a new voice. So, and then you AD had also said like being in some form of balance, one side or the other side. And a lot of the things that he was saying in his interview represented a level of spiritual truth, and how, yeah, the net worth of Steve Harvey is 200 million and his ain't that much, but it's kind of like he putting you in a understanding that you can have all the money in the world, if your soul ain't right, that money don't matter for real. And not to say money is unimportant, right? But if we in this 2024 energy, we really got to learn how to balance the spiritual with the material and know the rules of each game, right? So it's like, have y'all been thinking about or intuitivizing the balance between the spiritual realms and the material realms in this beginning year? Like, have you been more conscious about doing spiritual work, as opposed to like working real hard type deal, or is not something that you think about?
I would say for me, I've been thinking about more the spiritual, because as I'm learning through my experience of life, you can't separate the mundane and the spiritual. You just can't. Everything is just connected and woven together too hard just to say like, it's like trying to separate science and spirituality. They're one and the same. So whatever route you take, you might think, oh man, it ain't that much to it. I'm just doing this. On a deeper level, you might be having an interwoven of connection that you've not been tapping into, but you only begin bits and pieces of. But when you realize how connected you are, it goes into this place of like, damn, I had this the whole time. Like, bro, low-key had my back the whole time, and it was you doing this for me. So you have to really think about that in a small hole within your life. Just journaling last year and just walking into this new year. What are you really desiring? What's really in your mind?
I can agree with that. I've been working on just looking at the whole of everything. My experiences is just spiritual. Everything is spirit. Everything I do every day is a meditation. You know what I mean? And just trying to balance. And the biggest thing is like what I do when I'm home, when I'm journaling, meditating, and then when I go to work during the day. And really balancing those two things and really understanding that money is great, like y'all saying, but it's not gonna make you happy. We wasn't born to make money. You know what I mean? To be here and make some money. We was born for a specific purpose. That's what I'm working to find out.
Yeah, it makes me think about like I don't know if y'all ever saw that movie The Fountain, where in one level our mundane existence is like is like separated, like our job is our job and our spiritual is our spiritual. But in The Fountain, it was more of, he was a doctor or a scientist, but whenever he did his doctor scientist work, his soul would be in another dimension doing the same thing, but just on another level. So it gets me to think, especially doing readings, it shows me that, and I'm always imploring this to people, that your job is a part of your purpose. And if it's not, you know it, right? It's a part of it. Like where it's like, I got this job, and I got my spiritual, and they separated. That's going to be a hard road, right? As opposed to finding the spiritual nature or the spiritual foundation root to why you working, where you working, maybe what's the next step, things of that nature. But it's all inclusive. So this is also how you know you had a bullshit job if you ain't feeling that. Like that ain't what it is. Like you know it ain't got nothing to do with your mission at all. So it's like being able to suss that out is very key.
Yeah, and to add to that, I noticed that, from the jobs that I've had, I got what I got out of those jobs is not what I thought I was going to get um, on my first day, if that makes sense. Like the ego says, like, I'm gonna get this experience and it's gonna help me, get better so I can make more money. But it was like, no, it really helped me find out how I play victim in situations. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. It really had nothing to do with money or career or anything. It just had more to do with like sacral chakra work for me. I'll say that. You know.
Indeed, because you can be in these particular positions, situations in life, and you're like, oh, I hated it. 20 years from now, you're like, oh, it was so fun when we was doing
Yeah.
that, whatever. So it's like you got to keep your emotions at bay when you in your purpose, because you probably misreading it, especially if
Mhm.
you are in a position. So it's always like I bring it back to like Christian church. God only gonna put you in situations He can put you out of. Like God ain't gonna put more on you that you can't bear.
Yeah.
Like 39 years old, I bear witness to that. Like everything that I've been faced with, I overcame it, even if I didn't think I could. So it's like that's
Mhm.
bullshit ass jobs, factory jobs, like all types of crazy shit. But it all helps me in my own personal business. All
Mhm.
of the bullshit jobs I picked up and learned little things. So it's like there's no mistakes. But can you look at your life like that? And so it's like that's where I find a spiritual and material balance. Like, do the material work take you away from source? Serpent work like 28 jobs. How do you balance the spiritual and material?
I think it's important to take time for yourself and to acknowledge to yourself that, sometimes you just ain't got the fucking answers. Um, there sometimes may appear like there's this book, that you're supposed to follow and shit, but it's different when you're dealing with so much strong spiritual energy, and then you gotta go work a mundane 9 to 5, right? You're doing this extra shit to keep this 9 to 5 going, but yet you give like the bare minimum to your spiritual energy. And so, you create the imbalance within your life inadvertently, and it's not something that you probably decided to do on purpose. It might just be something you did inadvertently. And that's the difference between being able to recognize the spirit that exists within your life and then being able to recognize that spirit actually exists within your life.
Big facts. Big facts. You got something on that, AD?
I would just only thing I would say is my one thing is I had to learn like what comes first, your spiritual endeavors, your job, and like if you really fucking with your spirit, the job always gonna be like money gonna come. Like everyone always tells you, don't get right, don't chase the money, don't get right. But with the money, get right with God first. Everything will get right. you really got to think about that on a slow level for your life. But that's all I got to say.
Real shit, real shit. Hey, AD, grab that chart. We about to get into Cat Williams' birth chart and break it down the only way that the initiates could.
It's up and ready whenever you are.
Type.
So the first thing I want to point out to Cat Williams, I know when we talk about these sidereal readings, we always talk about the moon and the moon first, but I just want to get into his sun real quick and how it's really lined up within the eight of disc. And when we think of the eight of disc, we think it's prudence. We got to think about the work that Cat Williams has took for his career and his life, and it starts all with his identity. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people watch the interview, of course. So when we think about Cat Williams' personality and the sign Virgo within the second house, he has an organization and style about how he gonna get his paper. But at the same time, his work ethic is where his paper come from. Because being a comedian, that's a tough career. So the drive, the patience you gotta have, it takes a different type of work ethic, I would say. Especially seeing a lot of comedians in this day and age, they have the internet. He didn't have the internet like that for real in 1971. Like, everybody wasn't making reels and popping things out their ass like that. You know, I hope you're not popping up out your ass.
And his sun is conjunct Pluto. So if you're going to look at this chart from a Western standard, which is cool, that first deacon of Virgo is the eight of disc. The eight of disc is just somebody that's going to work every day at whatever they're good at, right? If Cat Williams, you looking at this chart, and Cat Williams is a little boy, and he like, Daddy, Mommy, I don't know what I want to be when I grow older. And they can look at his chart and say, son, whatever you do, just do it every day, and it's going to change your life. You're going to make a lot of money. Daddy, how you know I'm going to make a lot of money? Because the sun is conjunct Pluto in your second house. So consistently work on your craft. So when you listen to the interview, he's talking about how he lived all over the place, basically. And he worked incessantly on becoming the best comic, right? So he really living out that chart. And I think, like, y'all could just deal with each and every aspect that y'all see, and then we'll deal with the transit chart. But everybody can take a bite off of each aspect, because he got a few aspects that stand out very strongly in his chart.
He has the Earth trine. You already spoke on what's in Virgo. In Capricorn, you got that Mars conjunct the North Node. That's the second deacon. So what is that? The Three of Pentacles.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. So I mean that adds to that Seven of Pentacles energy.
Oppose the part of fortune on the South Node, abundance.
Dang, yeah. No, Cat Williams is a hard worker. Almost I would say like a visionary. You know what I mean? Like really trailblazing with how he's going about this. Then he has Saturn opposed Jupiter, which is really interesting. Well, Saturn opposed Jupiter.
He's not the talker's talker. He's the worker's talker. He's not the talker's talker. He's the worker's talker.
He walk what he talk.
Yeah.
Like he talking.
He walk it like I talk it. Migos featuring Drake. Google
But that Neptune conjunct Jupiter is interesting because he does have a spiritual understanding of the role that he plays in life in general, and it's almost like he know what he needs to say.
Mhm.
You know, and it seems like he speaks from spirit a lot of times with what he's saying, because he done so much work to build himself up and to get these skills, and you know, the mental, you know, and the verbal, to where like all I gotta do is channel spirit now. Like I ain't gotta, you know what I mean? I ain't gotta plan on my attack. Like I know how I'm gonna attack, you know, because spirit got my back. Like I already prepared myself. I already did the, you know, the weight training and stuff like that. I'm just, it's like he's a vessel right now, and I think something was speaking through him. Spirit was speaking through him.
Mercury in the first house, though. Trickster energy, sacred clown. I think if you want to epitomize that particular energy, yo, Mercury would be in the first house.
And Leo at that.
And Leo, like a show, a performer that is channeling trickster energy. People perceive you as the trickster, so all you have to do is be that. He like 5'2", 110 pounds. Like, he don't really have no choice but to be funny. He not about to beat nobody ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Where's
your whole life his whole life they told him he had to be a particular way, and he was that way, and it still didn't work for him. So now it's like, all right, now that I found my own way, now I'm gonna show y'all my way, and aha, the last laugh is on y'all. That's the type of nigga here.
And then when you think about what he talked about with his Mercury, what's that, the 7 or 6 of Wands?
Right on the cusp. Yeah, right between 6 and 7 of Wands.
Okay. You muted. Good.
You muted, Hood.
My bad. Yeah, it'd be the 7 of Wands, so it'd be victory, or you could say the 6 of Wands, and that's basically the same card, just one level transcending to the next.
Yeah, I think it's 7 of Wands is like Simba come back to Pride Rock, you know.
And then also,
it makes me think of like Biggie when he won the award for the Source Award. Like, Biggie, Brooklyn, we did it. We did it, Brooklyn, we did it. Like, he going to win.
Yeah.
and remember, if you, as you've been keeping up,
Take credit, ass nigga.
Right.
No facts. Facts. Remember, as you've been following the show, we talked about conjunctions. We mentioned one tonight. We mentioned one of the previous shows. Remember, the most powerful things in your chart will be conjunctions and squares. So square would be like most of the challenge. I just lost the word. Conjunction. There you go. Conjunction will mostly be like a harmonious or more of an everlasting aspect, right? So a lot of people think trines will be like a strong point, but the trines just kind of let you know how lazy your ass is because you're really good at it, so you don't notice it. Whereas in your squares and your conjunctions let you know, like, okay, I am good at it, but I gotta work towards it. I gotta build upon it. I gotta understand the things that's causing this fluctuation not to build. So
I always took trines as like, you know, you're good at it until you take it for granted type shit.
Yeah, because when you look at a lot of trines, you know, a lot of people try to say, oh, this right here, but like, you just reminding them how good they are at something, but they just being lazy at it. Like, yeah, I mean, I can't do that. Or the square is like, you can be into it right now, but this is what's prohibiting you because you haven't noticed it about yourself.
You were saying something, Serpent? Well,
No, I was
in
just
reference,
saying like
go ahead.
no, I was just saying like the what he's referencing as far as the trines is like those are the things that you're naturally good at, right? So like the squares would be like the uh, guard post, right? Where it's letting you know where you can't go or what you shouldn't do. Whereas with the trine, it's like you know you're good at these particular things, so you're gonna take a lot of things for granted that come from that. Like that's what I got from that.
Yeah, I always say trines are interesting. It needs some form of a catalyst. So he doesn't have a kite, but he has like kind of like a offset kite that is conjunct Jupiter and Neptune, where his mode of expansion is to disappoint, and the ancestors is going to give him missions that don't seem right or feel right. So it's like he have a unique voice, and that's another thing about conjunctions is that they create uniqueness in the individual. Uniqueness like chocolate milk, right? That's how I describe a conjunction. Chocolate is one thing, milk is one thing, but when you put them together, they create something completely different. And once they've created, it can't be separated. You can't then strain the chocolate out the milk and make purified milk again. It just is what it is. So when you look at your chart, you're also identifying your uniqueness and more in telling your personal mission. So it's like with Katt Williams, he doesn't really have squares in his chart. He just has a lot of conjunctions and a lot of trines, and he has some catalysts due to disappointment with his father, right? Jupiter conjunct Neptune. In the interview, he's talking about how him and his father don't get along. He got kicked out of his house, right? That's disappointment in the fourth house, but it's okay. This is going to lead to your expansion and your spiritual development. It don't seem like it. That first deacon of Scorpio is a motherfucker, but ultimately it leads to a resolution when you get the fruits of Jupiter, which is a successful comedy career, right? An enviable comedy career. That's why the fourth house is always opposed to 10th house. So you can also see this Jupiter opposed Saturn, right? So the quarrels with your father ultimately lead to success, right? And it's all in his chart. You could literally watch the interview and you know what you're reading in his chart. You could detail all of it. You know he's a genius because he doesn't have squares. He doesn't have challenges to the mind.
Yeah, you could call the shit with his dad like his rites of passage, really. Like
100%. And that would be a earth sign grand trine. That would be a natural initiation, like the earth ritualizing you, initiating you. And it's like moon and like just like Oprah's chart, that 10th house, that third deacon of Virgo in the second house is automatic. That you ever been a broke, like I could be a broke ass person, right? But it's also people who have just money, right? Katt Williams in the interview, he say, I always had money, right? I always had a pocket full of money. Well, because his moon is in the third deacon of Virgo in the second house, right? It's a very interesting chart, especially when you pair it with the conversation.
Yeah, and I just feel like when like interpreting your own chart, or if you diving into it and you like really just don't know, one thing always to remember is to focus on that sun and that moon, and then watch it as it goes through transits. Learn the small things about your sun and your moon, because as you can see, his sun and moon was in the same side. So most times, a lot of people's sun and moons are far away, or they're opposing, whereas his sun and moon is like within the same house, same spot. So
basically conjunct.
You said what's up, you dog?
Basically conjunct.
Exactly. So it's really not no hard conflicting aspect within his mind within himself.
He is who he is. And most people are not. Most people's sun and moon is at a weird angle. So how does that show up in real life? You emote one way, you show up one way, but inside you a whole different way, and you trying to rectify both energies in one human being. And that's why most of us out here look crazy. But if your sun and moon is conjunct, you way more intentional than the average person.
One thing that stands out to me with Saturn and how Saturn is kind of like the mother of all earth signs. And it made me bring out my notes about Saturn. So
Type shit.
So I got when you consider Set as Saturn, this brings Capricorn and Aquarius, which relates to the legs specifically and the knees. And the chief feature of the knees is to bend. When we think of bending or bent, it directs to tension or an aspect like opposition or a square in astrology. When you embody Set, you embrace negativity. And I think that's a key thing about Katt Williams. He embraced the negativity in his life, in his childhood, and he had no problem with shining a light on it in the industry that he works in. And I think that's a key point of a true trickster, being able to do whatever with the darkness, do whatever with the negativity, because ultimately you need dark and light. Ultimately you have to merge those polarities, because at the end of the day, it's just an illusion that something is negative or something is positive. It's all the same thing. And I think a trickster do a good job at like merging that while still playing around.
It sounds like you're calling Katt Williams the ultimate alchemist.
It's something with him. These charts is always interesting. He ain't just no normal nigga walking on the street. I tell you that much. You can tell by the chart. Like, you can tell by the chart. This is a very unique chart. The placements, the positions of the planets, the organization of it. When you got babies and you look at their chart and it's a little like order to it, that's God. That's God working in real life.
Yeah, and I feel like that how Saturn is at the top of his chart by the midheaven, right? Yeah. That kind of like just, to me, that looked like just the key in the door. You know what I mean? To like just start everything with it being in the 10th house. And then how like y'all spoke on, you know, getting kicked out the house, being the only person in his family like that. It was just like, Dad, I'm not like y'all. Just say I'm not religious. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, I'm a trickster, man. I'm not orderly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
It's that.
What major tarot card moves Taurus?
The hero fan.
The hero fan.
That whole black sheep energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But within the black sheep, there's some genius. Mm-hmm. That's what we don't understand about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
What they say about the kid who got all F's in school, he's really a genius.
Mm-hmm. How you able to do that? Like, how you do that?
Yeah,
how you get all F's?
And it's always the black sheep that break ancestral curses, right? So it's only right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like they're the ones that let you know it's there. I think that's a big part of the trickster. Is just like, it lets you know what's there, you know, until the trickster lets you know I feel like it's just darkness, or it's just, unconsciousness.
Because what do they call the devil? What do they call Lucifer? The light bringer. And what did Katt Williams do? He shined light on things that went in Hollywood. He goes, the main thing that in Hollywood that they try to tell you, let you know, their main job is to tell you that they have not sold their soul. That's their main job to really run across. And what he said when people get interviewed, hey, what's your thought on this? Hey man, I can't be talking about that. Stop, you're gonna get me in trouble. Why are you asking this? So him being the trickster, let him know how things go, but at the same time, could you be at the same time let him know, like, I'm telling y'all what I gotta do, why I'm able to do this show. I'm the master trickster. I can trigger from the guy, from the man, and not get hurt, or from the powers that be.
Master trickster, and you can't slip on that. You can't sleep on that Sun conjunct Pluto. That's probably one of the most powerful conjunctions, because in reference to the prescription, if you take it, you will automatically transform your life for the better. It's like a cheat code.
It made me think, because it's almost like, think of the Olympians, the Greek gods, right? Everybody is in Olympus, but Hades ain't there. It's almost like Katt Williams is Hades. You know what I mean? He get the bad, all he is, he probably that, he is. And then you got all these Olympians like saying, yeah, he is like that. So it's kind of like the majority rules a lot, and I think the majority kind of obscures the truth. And Katt Williams being the whole polarity to everything that's happening, with Black Hollywood or Hades to Olympus.
It makes me feel like it's all by design. The whole system is by design.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else stand out to y'all about this chart?
Well, one thing I will want to say is, like, a lot of people, they kind of always asking me this about charts, but like, what about the planets? I mean, what about the houses that have no planets? Like, am I just not good at those things? That's the question I get. So that's something I want to ask y'all. What's y'all thoughts?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say you're not good at those things, but I wouldn't try to put energy in those houses at all, especially if you trying to get some motion, trying to get some traction, trying to live in your purpose. It's almost like it's like if LeBron James just decided to be a Kroger's manager.
Oh, damn.
You like, why you do that? Because I was investigating my 7th house and I have no planets there, so I just figured it was supposed to build relationships with Kroger's managers and just end this whole, like, when you in your purpose, you know it. And you don't have to make a bunch of decisions to be in your purpose. You literally have to make one decision to be in your purpose. So LeBron James just knows basketball is his purpose. Nobody could tell him otherwise. So it's like, what areas, like Katt Williams, he really don't have a voice for real, if you really think about it. Like, this podcast is an anomaly to when was the last time people actually talked about Katt Williams. And imagine if Katt Williams just said, yeah, I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to just talk about myself and what I got going on. We would not be having this conversation today. He took an opportunity to, for 2 hours, talk about other people. So that shows me that his 3rd house is not that strong. And other areas, just other areas, he's not that strong. You ever seen Katt Williams with a wife? No. He don't got no planets in his seventh house, and it's in Aquarius. That's a major dub. Like, it's just not happening, right? You ever seen Cat Williams click up with a whole bunch of people? Matter of fact, he is the antithesis to clicking up with a whole bunch of people because he just ethered all of the people who click up. So, lone wolf energy, but that's because he don't have no planets in the 11th house. So he might have tried to do it, it ain't work for him. So it just works better when he just does him. That's what his chart say, and that's where he find his success at. But he wanted more by just clout chasing the beginning of the year for some reason.
Yeah, he's always had that type of energy within his career, in which he's always been like the loner, like the comedian loner. And whenever someone is willing to put a microphone in front of his face, he's been more than willing to throw his fellow comedians under the proverbial bus, so to speak.
I think also with no planets in certain houses and signs, that's when you move on to the transits. You know, those transits will speak. They'll say something as well. I think it's interesting. His Chiron is in Pisces in the 8th house. Maybe he just really submitted to what he felt he was supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like he adopted so many children. You know, I think that has a lot to do with it. And it's in the 8th house. That's an interesting placement to me.
I would say he still has more healing to do to get to his full purpose. Like he can, I think when you do things and it goes viral the way it do, it shock you and surprise you, and it puts you more into a mode like I need to be doing this more. So, you know, what is the purpose of a trickster? Like a trickster is much more powerful than a soldier. That's why the whole point of the colonial army was not to kill all black people, just the tricksters, right? Because when you kill the tricksters, you kill the whole community because that's what the community listens to.
That's how
now
you we talk order on a certain level, because the trickster shows you how you're an illusion. You know, it allows you to laugh at the whole situation, predicament. That's how I look at it. Like it's not, and that's why they're important.
And what you're saying that it makes me think about the conversation with the devil. You know what he do the whole time. Yeah, I wouldn't devil. I'm sorry. What he do the whole time? He basically told bro how he do stuff. You know, and he told him the whole time because he know, like, I mean, good luck knowing how to stop it. I mean, if you do, I know how to get to you. You know, I know what you like and want.
Right. All I gotta do is feed you the urges that's already within you. You'll do the rest.
Now we talked about a little bit of his chart and just the natural aspects. Now we're just gonna get into the transitorial aspects of it, and like, you know, what he jumping into is just energy right now as of today of the new year.
What 1 second? It looked like the planets on his natal chart on here shifted a little bit.
They shifted in like placement, but not in actuality. I think just the map is a slight different, but it's the same thing. So the interesting thing about his second house is that his Lilith and Uranus is exact conjuncted. And with that, like, you are dealing with somebody that is insanely psychic, right? Insanely psychic. So it's like you want to be his friend. That's why people are around him. He's not their friend, but he's not their friend, but they are his friend because he helps people more than they help him because he gets it from source. Like he's a pure and natural psychic, pure and natural genius. So it's like it's tough being him, right? When you get all of this stuff from God and everybody is trying to get stuff from you.
Would you?
Yeah, he lives a lonely existence.
Really lonely.
Would you guys say that Lilith is kind of like the moon if it's related to any other planet?
It's related to your subconscious and unconscious self for sure. And the moon is like if you get taken over by the moon, it's hard for you to get your bearings together. The same way with Lilith, it can be extremely dark but extremely liberating when you understand the phases and patterns of your life. So everything like a random life becomes an intentional life like that when you understand the moon. Darkness, sexual deviancy, debauchery turns into psychic awareness like that when you understand Lilith. So having those two energies in tandem basically conjunct three energies, and then you have Uranus there. So this is like the spirit of Dick Gregory in this form. So he has a lot more healing to do, a lot more living to do, and a lot more of bringing awareness to the masses. But you can also, you got to be a little bit cautious, right? You got to be a little bit cautious because Jupiter is not exactly, somewhat opposing Saturn. So depending on particular transits, like, I don't know, it's going to be a while, right? He made it like, if you look at this chart, this transit chart, what this chart is showing you that he has made it through some particular storm. And now he is like he is in cruise control. He's in a brand new car and he's about to test drive it, right? But he got to be careful because his level of freedom mentally, vocally, has never been seen before. So he has to really protect himself, right, against the powers that were, because they don't like this energy. I'm telling you, they don't like sacred clowns. They rather you be a gangster thug, right, than to be a Hyoka.
Also, looking at his Mars transiting the fifth house, you know, you can say it's a time of play for him. You know what I mean by play? Like he's acting right now. Hence the show dropping. And then two, is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius the arrow. So what was he doing today? He was shooting shots. Shots was fired. You know, remember what you told me, Breeze? Modern day Sagittarius is really holding that pipe, holding that gun.
Yeah. It's an extended clip.
Lemon squeeze.
But that is also showing a little bit of insecurity because he doesn't have planets in his fifth house, where he has worked very hard in a space where people who are talented than him have not worked as hard as he is. And he knows he's not the funniest person. He knows he's not the best comedian. He just knows he's going to work harder than everybody around him. And he knows he's smarter and he knows he's more in tune. But he also knows he's not the most talented. He also knows he's not the most vocal in a space where he can defend himself properly. So he took advantage of the energy to, I would say, project more than do anything. Because that Chiron conjunct Chiron is the transit, right? That's what you really kind of need to look at to kind of see what the catalyst to what all the fuckery is about. And what we don't actually do is understand the process of healing, right? It's a long, arduous journey to get to a space of realizing that Chiron. So it's like he's on the journey of healing, self-realization. So I expect him to evolve. I expect him to get to a level where he is himself, and all of the name calling and calling people out, that's a level of unhealedness, whether we understand that or not. And we might think like when things go viral, it's all good. But if you really listen, right, you got to be able to stand on your own 10 toes, whatever that is. And if you're a world famous comedian, I feel like it should be easier to stand on that. But for some reason, he can't stand on that. And that to me is showing his third house and fifth house weakness, which is so oxymoronic when you are a comedian that speak and make people laugh for a living, right? But if you are able to do that, you also know you are extremely insecure. Like, his level of insecurity is beyond most of our comprehension. I mean, this is why he can talk for 2 hours about other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he is short. You know, you get a lot of insecurities being short. And also, for people want to understand Chiron. Chiron is basically a everlasting wound that needs to be tended. Because the mythology of Chiron, he was hurt by Hercules, by a poison bow, and that couldn't be healed. So what he do? He took Prometheus' place in Tartarus. So he will forever get an eagle chewing out his liver. Constantly always in pain. So think about where Chiron is in your chart. Think about the everlasting pain that's on your mind and your heart that you must heal through and work through. Because healing is something that takes time. Not because it takes time, but it takes time for you to understand you and your wounds. Because we deny our wounds constantly. Oh, that didn't faze me. Now I'm straight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, you hurt on the inside.
Yeah. And as men really have to, going into 2024, do shadow work. Because if you think you're gonna get by with bravado and competition, you only attacking yourself, the unhealed aspects of yourself. Because if there's so much things going on in the world, why you gonna fixate and focus on one particular aspect?
Mm-hmm.
That's because that particular aspect you are not all the way healed, and it's okay. We all have areas. There's not a person watching this video that will watch this video that will ever come into the realization that I am completely healed and completely self-realized. It is a forever journey. However, it's too much bravado with black men in these particular spaces that does not create the space for healing. When that's what's needed. Like Chiron is conjunct his Chiron. And when you look at his transit chart, his transit chart is not the most active transit chart other than that Chiron conjunction, which is very sharp. Like Chiron transits are very sharp, and we do anything and everything to deal with the facts. So he might have had some internal turmoil that he didn't want to deal with, and the best thing to do was to get on Shannon Sharp and project all of his inner turmoil. But you also have to understand that you can monetize your pain. You can't monetize a good life. That's hard to monetize. Like, hey guys, I live a perfect existence. People are not going to pay you for that. People will pay you when you have some level of pain that you're working through.
I think that speaks to like all the heavy earth energy he has and the discipline he had to just like work at it so that he can get a certain level of like know-how to, you know, maybe it's therapeutic for him, you know what I mean? Really therapeutic for him to do comedy, because he initially he was saying he really, growing up, he didn't want to be a comedian, you know what I mean? He kind of just, you know, fell into it, and he was able to like apply that discipline. And I think he spent so much time on his craft, you know, um, he left other parts, undisciplined, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It was like sometimes you see the memes of dudes that only like bench press, and then they got chicken legs type of deal. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like that. That's what it seems like. Like he in these stats, he'll blow you out the water. You know what I mean? But in other stats, it's just like, man, you gotta spend another lifetime, or another however old he is, X amount of years to really, be a lot more well-rounded. Because you can't just, I don't think you can just be one-sided, with life in general. No matter how good you are at that one side. Because even with a trickster, is like that even the clown's insecurities will show at some point.
Yeah, like it's no escaping it. Like it's no escaping this. And like they say, most comedians is real dark for real. Like, and his chart can show a dark, lonely person that no one understands. Period. Like we're relatable because we have to be. But when you a millionaire, you don't always have to be relatable. And the distance that you create between you and other people, to never not need another human is a different type of isolation, one would say. So it's like, it's good to this chart and it's bad to this chart. Like, and you got to be able to soberly look at your chart and then go and double back to what we talked about earlier about empty houses and charts. I think if you are serious about yourself, you can actually work on these areas as areas that you're weak in, and not work on the other areas. Like Katt Williams don't need to focus on money more than he need to focus on how to build a network of support, how to build partnerships, how to enjoy life, right? Having millions of dollars and not being able to enjoy life is crazy. Like, you really need some inner healing and deal with these inner wounds. So, and it's all how you deal with other people. Like,
we also
escapes them.
We gotta take into account the psychological disposition that enthralls, right? Like, because he's a comedian, so like he is lauded over and appreciated because of his vulnerability, right? So it's easy for an individual to lose themselves within that aspect of themselves, right? Where being vulnerable is the only way you can get people to help you feel anything from life, right?
It takes time, for sure. So it's a process.
I think it's interesting. He has no planets in Aries, and that's the ninth house. Maybe he kind of encompassing what we were saying. Maybe he don't know himself like he think he does.
Like he don't enjoy life for life's sake. Like it's something more that he wants out of life that money can't get you, talent can't get you. So let's end this conversation, man, with our last topic, desire and responsibility. This was Serpent's topic, and I felt what he was saying, but I'm gonna let him introduce it and present it to us.
Yeah, for some reason, I wanted to tie together the idea of, sexual intention and almost everything leading from the desire of obtaining, a particular sexual experience or just sex in general, right? So like the desire that is connected to it has to be something that at least resembles responsibility, because we want to have this sex, and this sex is great, and it represents a lot of beautiful things, but there's a responsibility that comes with it, right? Like, can you be responsible for the idea of having a child or creating a child? Can you be responsible for the idea of being spiritually connected to another human being? Like, can you be responsible for someone giving you the most sacred parts of themselves at the same time while you don't cherish the same sacred parts of yourself? Like, are these things that you can actually be responsible to?
Where this coming from, sacred?
I don't know. Like, I just think there's a responsibility to sex, and nobody ever talks about the responsibility to sex.
I think because as far as us not discussing it, I don't think we carry kids for 9 months, so we don't actually biologically carry that burden, right? So our responsibility is different for the desire of sex. That's why
But is
they
it
go
really?
online.
But is it
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
But is
yeah.
it
When you
really?
scale back, when you
Because
scale
you
back,
because
listen.
you are.
When you scale back and you say, is it easy for a woman to get sex, or is it easy for a man to get sex? It's easy for a woman to get sex. Like, she can have sex. It's harder for us to have sex because women don't naturally want to have sex as much as men do because they don't have that burden. Like, there's some freaky assholes out here, but that's not the majority. And even if it is the majority, it still is not going to ever equate to the horniness of dudes. So it's like, we don't know. We should, like, and it depends on who you having sex with. You don't care if you're dealing with prostitutes, right? And a prostitute is better sometimes than having a girlfriend, right? You spend $150, get that nut off. How much you gonna spend taking your girl out to eat every week? Just for the same nut. So it's like, you gotta be very aware of everything when you dealing with women, because it all ain't the same, in my opinion.
Well, my thing about desire and responsibility, especially being where I'm at, you think what you want is what you want right now, until as you like really go through things, you walking through shit and you like, man, I don't even think about that no more. So when we actually pay attention to our responsibilities, we really answer our desires. Because when you handle everything, what's there left to do? I can low-key finally do this real quick. Got my money saved up. So it's just that my thing with words is, what is something that you have to respond to for your responsibility? Or what is the response to your life and your constant situation?
Yeah, like whatever you desiring, it's almost like you desiring responsibilities. Like everything you do comes with a everything you desire comes with like a maintenance booklet. You know what I mean? Like, you can't you can't have anything without also dealing with having to maintain it. You know, I think the maintaining effort, or I mean, and it also makes me think of accountability as well. You know, um, so I try to look at it like I'm not desiring this car or this relationship. I'm desiring, the work that I'm gonna have to put in to keep it. You know, or what's going to happen to me after I get whatever it is I want. Because sometimes we enjoy just wanting shit, as opposed to having it. Because yeah, for real, I just want to be happy. What's my responsibility for being happy? You know what I mean? Shit, meditating every day, choosing myself. That's what it makes me think of.
I'm gonna throw this out there, and I'm gonna wonder what y'all think about this. This Zachary Lansdowne, and he basically saying that all your desires are false, and you should never follow your desires, but you should overcome those desires at all times. And he says that all desires act as though glamour were a trustworthy guide. Like, where if you have a desire, your normal mode is to just go after it. But as a spiritualist, the mode is I have a desire, I must overcome it at all costs. Like, I must reject all desires. Like, period, point blank. How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel like that's an attainable goal or unattainable?
Definitely.
We call that the bodhicitta, right? Like you what you're describing is renunciation, where you totally get to the point of understanding self, and then in the next moment you understand that you need to eliminate self, right? Like you're part of this creation, right? So the necessity for you to accumulate is worse than the detriment, right? It's more like a negation against the being, because the ultimate goal is purge, is letting go of everything that you think is necessary for you to be. So I would say that the difference would have to be between understanding and comprehension of the being, and then understanding and comprehension of the creation of that being.
Made me think of samsara.
Yeah, it's your participation within that wheel, right? The wheel of life, right? So it's either you understand that you are a component within the wheel, or also understanding that you are actually the entire wheel and you created the wheel, right? So it's like that fine line in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we talking this hot spiritual shit. How do you convey the renunciation of desires with people who wake up and breathe chasing their desires? Like, what is the reward, whether you know or not? Like, in your opinion, what is your reward for renunciation and not dealing with desire, but just dealing with the responsibility of life? Like, I'm going to do everything that I have to do today, and I'm not going to chill and relax. I'm just going to take every responsibility that I can take on.
Is because the primordial desire was to be incarnated, you know, and you asking for extra stuff after you already got what you asked for. And it's like, you know, kind of, you know, deal with what you asked for. You know what I mean? It's like you I love analogies. When you sitting at a restaurant table, you eating your food, but you looking at the menu. You know what I mean? And I think that's the importance of responsibility, you know, because you came here for a reason. You chose to be here for a reason. Yeah.
I say the clarity, right? Imagine desiring and wanting so many things, and like you put that to the side and you stand on business. The type of clarity you get from your life is like, it's like wanting pussy all day, and then it's like until you like, man, let me just like leave that alone, go to work, save my money, hit this gym, you know what I'm saying, so I can stay right, you know. The small, you get so much from the small things in your life instead of chasing after every feeling you get, because then that's how you solve the lunacy, the lunatic within you. You handle the emotions with it. That's where the clarity comes from.
Real shit. So, man, I guess we really did it. We really improving show by show, I feel like. Y'all got any parting shots y'all want to leave the people with?
You said what shots?
Parting shots. Like,
oh yeah. Reasons. You already know what I'm gonna do. Wow. But no, for real though. One thing I'm gonna leave you with a what's it called? I can't remember for some reason. But as I say, you get what it's called. A riddle. There you go. What 3 things cannot be hidden? If you can solve that, send that to our Facebook group or send that to our email. The answer. We will do your chart for the next reading. So go ahead and answer the riddle. Don't look it up. I will know you looked it up because I know the answer is going to give you when you look it up. So don't do it. Find it out. Ask your soul for it. I bet you'll get the answer.
Follow the Hero Fans Book Club. We dropping an episode tomorrow evening. If not tomorrow evening, for sure Saturday. On the chapter 6 through 11 of Genesis, which is about Noah and the ark, or Noah building his altar. You need to build your altar, work with your soul, establish a non-physical connection with your soul. It's going to be about that kind of thing.
Type shit. Join me Saturday, January 7th, 2024. Link will be in the description. 11:11 a.m. The Hierophants will be in the building. We're going to talk about our emotions, our emotional body, establishing even more connections to self. In all of the world, we know everything about everything, but we know little about the person that we are, the spirit that we are. And that's what we're talking about at this webinar: information and instruction and information, sacral chakra activation, chakra nova. Y'all already know what the business is and what the business ain't. Man, shout out to y'all, man, for joining me this evening, joining us this evening, as we continue to do these videos and build, man. I feel the surge, I feel the build. And we're just going to try to deliver more exciting content. If y'all want to take part in this, email any of us Instagram any of us. We'll send you a link. If it's something that y'all want us to talk about specifically, y'all want us to look at a particular chart of an event, a person, place, or a thing, a baby, an animal, your dog. You want to know if your dog has purpose. Birth chart to the initiates so we can break it down. As you can see, we broke the chart down like nobody on YouTube, period, point blank. So if you want content that is deeper than the surface, y'all know where to find it, man. Peace to y'all, man. Thank y'all for joining us. Y'all got anything to say before I end this?
Fuck with us, man, because we your favorite spirituals panel. That's all I gotta say.
All you got is your balls and your word.
Semen retention, and we out on that. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.